we have a ton of questions. You can go with whatever you want, and because I
Oh.
want to ask all of these. So
Yeah. Why don't we just start with your beginning, which
Right.
is, so what got you started as a content creator? So it
On
could just
Twitch or
be
in general?
in general. Yeah.
So I actually started as a content creator. I mean, I guess like YouTube and stuff, like video content creation was like with YouTube, and that started back in 2014. And that's the year that I moved back to Japan permanently. Like I had been in Japan before, but that's when I came back permanently to work here. And you know, I really was only thinking, oh, I want to record videos for my family back home and like post them and stuff. And then I don't think like YouTube really ever super took off for me, but it was something that I'm glad I did, and I learned a lot of skills through it, and I made a lot of friends through it. Like I met Sophie, Peach Milky through doing YouTube. So yeah, it definitely started with YouTube, and then after that, Twitch, I guess, was Twitch was 2016. I started YouTube in 2004. No, wait, yeah, right. I'm like, oh god, it's so long. 2016 was Twitch, and then 2014 was YouTube. Yeah.
And just kind of kept going with it, just seeing where it went.
Yeah. I mean, it's like once you start, it's kind of hard to stop. And like I think a lot of content creators, unless you're like super big like PewDiePie, I think in some way we all kind of know that there is an expiration date to content creation. Like it's not something that you're gonna do into your like 60s and 70s probably. But like for the time being, like I still really enjoy it, and I'm so invested in it. It's not something that I could see myself giving up anytime soon. And yeah, I mean, I've given up on YouTube a little bit here and there, but then I always end up coming back to it. So
What do you think
it's
is
a
like?
drug.
Because like Twitch is live and YouTube is kind of, you edit. That's another thing that doesn't exist on Twitch, right? So
Yeah.
did you feel more comfortable in a more live situation, and like where you film something, maybe it's just saying hi over and over and over again, but you try to get that one perfect I guess take and edit that? Like, did you feel more comfortable in a live situation more than?
I mean, yeah, it's very much like what you just said. It's like no matter. So the way I feel about YouTube is like there are a lot of genuine people on YouTube, and I've met a lot of genuine people on YouTube. But I think at the end of the day, there is a bit. YouTube, I think, is inherently fake, and I don't mean that in like a ooh fake kind of sassy, shady kind of way. But I mean like when you do YouTube, you have the opportunity to edit it, and you also have the opportunity to think about what you're going to say. So I think a lot of people try to get the best take because they want the best video. I mean, there are people who just do one take vlogs, and that is a thing. But I think a lot of people, it is about like getting that best take, and it can be really time consuming when you're out vlogging or at your home doing like a sit down video, and you're like, oh, that didn't sound right, and then you have to like do it again, and then edit it all, and then edit out the parts you didn't like, and then like clip things together. And I mean, they're inherently, I think YouTube is a bit less real than Twitch because it's live, right? So I do like Twitch in that I feel like if you watch me on Twitch, you really get to know the genuine person that I am. Whereas like on YouTube, yeah, you do get to see the real me, but not to the extent that you would if you knew me in person or talked to me live,
What do you think is like it's hard to just pinpoint one thing, but what do you think is a good, when you see something or somebody, what do you think is good content, or what do you think makes a good, like you see someone and go, oh, that's a good content creator? Is there something that kind of
on any platform?
Any platform, yeah.
For me, I think it's just passion, honestly. Like it sounds kind of cliche, but like obviously there, especially if you're like a variety streamer, sometimes we play games, and like we play new games, and we play all these type of games, and I think we like the games that we play most of the time. But like you can really tell on Twitch when you catch someone stream and you catch them playing a game that they genuinely love,
Hmm.
And that excitement and their fervor for it and their passion for it is it's very like bewitching for me or to me. So like I tend to watch a lot of Pokemon creators because I think like Pokemon creators are so passionate about what they do and they can go on and on and on and on. And I love that. Like I like to talk. I'm sure you guys know that, but like
You're very good at it too.
Yeah.
It's always interesting.
like I could go on about Pokemon. I could go on about Animal Crossing, and it's like I don't even mean like I'm not even genuine. Like I'm not necessarily saying I'm drawn to people who like and are passionate about the same things that I like, but just people who are passionate about something. Um, I have made many friends with people who are passionate about things that I necessarily don't like. Like I don't necessarily like it myself. I don't know about it. For example, like Final Fantasy 14. Like I love your passion for it, both of you, and everyone else. I know so many people who play that game, and I watch it all the time. I've tried it myself. It's not my thing, but I still find myself watching streams of it because it's fun to watch a content creator play something they love and something that they're knowledgeable about. So for me, yeah, passion and knowledge about something is really important. And same thing goes for YouTube too.
So there's a question in chat that's extremely interesting, and with that comment that you just said, Zillars is saying, but there's still a distance between reality and Twitch, right? Is it just less than disparity between reality and YouTube, or is Twitch different from YouTube? That's a really interesting question.
I do think that there, to some extent, you can edit and you can kind of hide certain aspects of your life on Twitch. So in that sense, yeah, it really depends on the content creator. And I guess same thing goes to YouTube. It really depends on the content creator because some people on Twitch are like open books. They talk about everything. Some people hide things and you don't know the reason why people hide things. I know people who hide the fact that they have a relationship because they just don't they don't feel comfortable bringing their partner who has nothing to do with the stream identity or stream into the stream, and that makes sense. So it depends on the person, right? But I do think that it is much harder to fake things or edit things or manipulate things to create a certain image on Twitch than it is on YouTube. Because YouTube, it's like there are so many steps in between when that video is being recorded to when it goes up that the creator has the chance to change something, right? There's so many opportunities to change things between when you film it and when it goes up. Whereas like on Twitch, I mean, you can try, like you can tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to mention this, or like I'm going to try to be like this kind of person. But when you stream 5 days a week, 5 hours at a time, you're going to slip up at some point. Like that genuine version of you is always going to slip out at some point. And it does happen to most people, even the ones who try to hide things. It eventually comes out, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But there are some things I don't talk about. Like I'm pretty open, but there are definitely some things that I don't talk about on Twitch as well.
Yeah.
But like I said, if I'm comparing YouTube to Twitch, Twitch version of myself is way more real than what you would see on YouTube.
That makes sense.
Emotions are a lot more raw on Twitch as well, right? Because I mean, especially like when you're playing a game, it's kind of hard to hide how you feel about that game. But I think if you can edit it, I think if you can edit it, there's some parts that you can edit out that maybe you can't really hold back when you're live on Twitch.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
And I think that's kind of the beauty of Twitch too, is like I don't necessarily I truly believe no one's perfect, and I think everyone has negative aspects of them and their personality and like whatever who they are, and there's nothing wrong with seeing those glimpses. I mean, there are definitely times where I say something or act in a certain way, like get frustrated or get short with people, and like I always apologize for it, and I always feel bad that I let that side of me out. But at the same time, it's like that is who I am. That part of me is genuinely who I am, even if it's not like the best thing. And I think Twitch is kind of beautiful in that way, that you can show people who you really are, and then they can choose themselves whether they want to vibe with you or not.
This might be a really weird question. I was thinking about this. I was asking Blue if this should be a question that I'd ask, but if you walked into your stream, the Toph stream, would you sub to your own stream? Seeing like,
wait, would I follow or would I sub?
Would you sub? Would you pay money And if yes, why? And if no, why? But would you sub to your own channel?
Probably not on the first time, because I don't usually sub the first time I go to someone's channel. But I think I probably would eventually, mostly because I tend to sub to a lot of queer content creators simply for being queer openly and creating a space and creating dialogue. So like, if I came onto my stream, I'd be like, oh, this is another like out queer person who's, you know, living authentically and creating a safe space and giving a voice to other people in the community. And I probably would. Also, this might be a biased opinion, but my emotes are cute as fuck. I mean,
they are.
I shouldn't curse. I shouldn't curse.
But they are.
Emotes,
They're adorable.
yeah.
And that kind of like brings me into a question that, you know, kind of a direction that we wanted to bring into. But, you know, there's the whole like LGBTQIA kind of community is big on Twitch. But in Japan, living here, it's kind of, it's hard to really, sometimes they have the parade, you know, the Pride Parade and stuff, and we do see events. And I think it's the warming up, if anything, in Japan. Like, what's your take on the community here in Japan? Or it could be a movement or just a community, but like, or just the conscious in general. But do you feel like it's still way behind?
I think Japan is behind in a lot of ways socially, not just with LGBT. I think like with women's rights and like being like women's rights and disabilities and mental illnesses.
Yep.
LGBT, like there's a lot of things that I think Japan is a bit behind on. Not saying that they disregard those things necessarily. I think there are clear strides that they have made and are making. So I think just keeping in mind, like I try to remind myself that Japan is not America, and America is not perfect either in regards to a lot of social issues, especially in the current political climate. So it wouldn't be fair to compare them because every society is different, right? But the interesting thing about Japan in regards to LGBT is that it's kind of an interesting question to ask, how do I feel about it? Because as a foreigner in Japan, the way I feel about the LGBT community is way different than how I would feel about it if I was actually Japanese.
Interesting.
And I always say this when people ask me, like, what's it like being gay in Japan? I can't really give a clear answer because I think foreigners get a get out of jail free card, honestly. It's like I could go to work and tell my coworkers like, oh yeah, I'm gay. And like, I have done that in some jobs, not all jobs I've had. So I have to read the atmosphere and tell if it's okay. But there have been times where like the response I got is like, oh, it's legal in New York, right? And I'm like gay marriage, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, well, if it's okay in your country, then it's okay here. And I was like, oh, okay.
I see. It's almost like we live in a different culture, so
they kind of hold foreigners to a different standard, right?
Yeah.
But it's like if a Japanese person were to come out to another Japanese person in the workspace, I don't think it would be met with aggression, but it would definitely, I feel like, most likely be met with like a shh, like don't say that.
Okay, yeah,
kind of thing.
It's almost like a moment of hesitation.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely something a lot of people hide, because like I've had a coworker, my previous job, I worked with someone who was gay, and he told me that he couldn't really come out to his family or even coworkers. Like, I think I'm the only person who knew that he was gay, and it was because of like the social stigma of how it's still not really accepted here. I mean, they say, it's accepted, and people say, yeah, it's kind of accepted, but I don't think it really is. Like, people, I think, like to say like, oh yeah, it's totally fine, but I think in a social aspect, I think a lot of people still have a lot of like, I guess, yeah, stigma towards it, or like, it's just socially, it's just not very, very behind, and to the point where I think a lot of people can't confine in their families as easy as it is for maybe someone who does have a very like open-minded family, because I think a lot of families in Japan tend to be very like they tend to be very old-fashioned as well. So I think a lot of like modern mindsets are still not accepted here. I mean, even like just not just with LGBTQ, but like with women's rights and stuff like that too. So I think I can understand that. Yeah, a lot of people have to hide it. It's like this. It's just they're not ashamed of it, but it's just more like they just can't hide it because they kind of know that it's gonna create this weird like atmosphere. That's how he explained it to me. He just doesn't want to create this like awkward air of like this subject that a lot of people don't really want to touch because it's very sensitive in a way, if that makes sense. But
I think it's
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, I think also it's like, with work, there's no law in Japan protecting LGBT people from losing their job if they came out. If someone in Japan came out and their boss was like, you're fired strictly because you're gay, solely because you're gay, that is not protected by law. They could do nothing about it. They couldn't sue their boss or the company, There's no law protecting that. Whereas in America there is, at least in most states. And then also, for example, in Japan, I feel like the family dynamic is different. Like, you guys should actually be able to tell me, like, do you guys feel like your family dynamic is strong? I've always got this very like traditional sense of family values in Japan, where like, because in America it's not common for like elderly grandparents to like live with the family, right? So I feel like that's kind of common in Japan, right? So it's like, I feel like the family dynamic is so strong here, so I could understand not wanting to lose that. Whereas like, I feel like in America there's a sense of independence from family, where like when you reach a certain age, you're kind of like, well, whatever, if my parents don't accept it, then that's fine, because I don't need my family, kind of thing. Like, that's kind of how I felt at one point, where I was like, well, if they don't like it, then that's fine. Like, I'm gonna just live my life without them. But I feel like that's not something that many Japanese people can easily say. Like, I'll just give up my family if they don't accept it,
Yeah, I mean, I know like really traditional families that did like omiai, where it was kind of, they organized who they're gonna marry too, and I think I come from, because Blue's family is not all Japanese, like traditional Japanese, but for me, with my education, international education, I did have some sort of mix, but still like a very baseline, like tattoos, no way kind of thing, like from the get-go. And I just had to have like a really just talk with them, just like, that's not the generation I live in, and if you judge that I can't do this, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, so you had that kind of conversation with your parents?
Yeah, I just had to sit down with them and be like, this, like, that's not the generation I live in. Maybe it worked for you, but not only is the generation I'm living in very international, the education that you gave me, and I'm very thankful for, gave me that opportunity to accept so many different people and what they like, and I turned out to be one of them too. So it's just too weird, and to kind of limit that when their goal hopefully was to kind of like spread out my horizons, So I just had, and it was a big fight that I had, especially my mom. My mom was an at-home mom, and my dad worked for kind of an international company, so he was a little bit more in tune with that. But my mom was very traditional, like grew up in Chiba, always just very, very domestic, I guess, in that sense. And it was just, I just had to sit her down, and I was just like, that's not how this is gonna go. So, you just gotta have to accept it. And and then when I did bring Blue over to my family, because I had that conversation, they were completely okay with it, and in a way, I was able, like, they love.
I can't hide my tattoo, so I'm glad.
Yeah, I was about to
say. I would have walked in there with my hand tats, and it's like, that would have been a really weird or awkward conversation. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, my family are very open. I don't think they're the type of people who would, like, they were of course against tattoos, but there's not much, like, they kind of got over it. So thankfully, I didn't have to have any kind of like difficult talk with them. But I think, because in the US, a lot of kids tend to go, like, once they go to college, they leave home and they go live on their own, correct? But in Japan, Yeah, but in Japan, like most people stay at home and go to college, and so I think the time where you leave the house is even older here, and so there is like that like duty for your like your family kind of thing comes into play too. How the oldest takes care of the grandparents, or I mean the parents and things like that. So there is definitely like a different kind of family relationship.
And so if you're in a relationship with a Japanese person, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Did you ever have any just on like a personal level, maybe it's a cultural thing, did you ever have any difficulties kind of putting the, I guess, values in tune with your boyfriend at any point, and like a cultural thing?
Well, I mean, we've talked about this personally and stuff, but like I've been dating, my partner is Japanese, and he's not out to his parents, he's not out to anyone, he's not out to his friends, his colleagues. So like we've been together for going on 3 years, like just under 3 years we've been going steady, and I have never met a single one of his friends. I've never met his parents. His parents don't even know that I exist. His friends don't even know that I exist. I don't think anyone in his life even knows that he's in a relationship. So I guess like being in tune with him and his cultural values and just cultural differences and balancing those with mine, I guess would be just being okay with that, you know? Like I think the most I can do and the least I can do is just be okay that for as long as it takes, maybe even forever, like I might not ever like actually be a part of his life in that way.
Wow, so that's like, and of course that's just something that you don't, you wish he would be okay with it, or in the sense of maybe it's his surroundings, his families, or him personally too.
I mean, it's one of those things, and like, there are cases of this in America too, because there are definitely people in America that are not out, right? There are cases of this everywhere, I think, but I think in Japan, because of everything that we've said so far, it's like it's pretty hard to come out, and it's like not a lot of people come out here. But regardless of that, regardless of whether it's Japan or not, and whether he was Japanese or not, like it's not fair to push anyone out of the closet. And that goes for people that you're not dating. Like if you like, this is kind of like a PSA kind of, but it's like if you have a friend and you have like an inkling or a feeling that like they might be queer, LGBTQIA plus whatever, like don't take it upon yourself to push them to come out. Like it's not fair to them to be pushed to come out when they're not ready to come out. And like I was sort of pushed out a bit, depending on like to my mom, I was a bit pushed to come out. And it's not a good feeling, because it's like it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of strength to come out to someone, and to be forced to do it when you're not ready is one of the most damaging things you can do. And in a way it's kind of selfish, because it's like, you work yourself up for that moment and then it gets taken from you. So there, in no way would I ever like wish, for him to come out. If he's not ready to do that, then it's not my place to tell him to. So as long as he loves me and as long as he treats me right, then everything else is inconsequential.
I mean, I think people that are watching this right now, and us too, is like, holy crap, like to be able to be that open arms about it and accepting about it is like I can't even fathom that, honestly. And it's more power to you, and it's like it just shows how genuine and pure your love and you guys have for each other, and hopefully it kind of like gets better in the sense of like him being more open in the future, which, like you said, shouldn't be forcing anything, and it takes a very big person to say it's okay, because I can't even imagine that. But yeah, that's crazy. And he obviously knows you stream, right?
Oh yeah. He's like been, well, he's never showed his face on stream, but he's like been like off camera before when I stream and stuff.
What does he think of you like streaming? Because you balance working and you stream full time and everything, and then you probably have a very limited amount of time that you can spend with each other. Like what does he think of you doing content creation and stuff?
I think he likes it. I mean, he watches my YouTube videos, or like he used to watch my YouTube videos when I put them out more often, and he pops into my stream sometimes, but only a certain amount of people in my community know who it is. So like a lot of the time when he comes into my stream, I don't think anyone even realizes that like that's him.
Oh, okay.
But it's not all the time, because my boyfriend doesn't really speak English super well. So when I'm streaming, I'm streaming in English. So I think he'll pop in and he'll talk to me in Japanese. But then after like a little while, he kind of like dips out, because I think he just doesn't understand like what's going on. But he's supportive in his own way. Like he's never ever like made me feel bad about it. He's never made me feel like I had to cancel a stream to be with him or whatever. Like he knows it's something that I do and it's something that I love, so.
Seems like it's like such a strong relationship, honestly. Like,
yeah, I mean, you know, strong, but you know, there are still things that we butt heads about. I mean, you know, it's international. It's interracial, international. It's a bit difficult sometimes, but I love him, so he's lucky. Otherwise, I would tear his head off.
So I'm gonna kind of change the direction, I guess, but like, it just got me wondering with more of the content creation stuff, I guess. But was there a moment where you thought, I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm just gonna walk away from everything?
For content creation, not really. I mean, there was one last year. I think there was one time where I took like 12 days. I took like 12 days off from streaming, which is not that much. Like realistically, it's not that long. But as a streamer, and I'm sure you guys know this, it's like even taking 1 or 2 days off feels like forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, it's one of the scary sides, and it's also one of the maybe unhealthier sides of being a content creator, especially on Twitch, is like we have this weird mentality that's like people are going to forget us if we don't stream a certain amount of time. So it was really hard for me at that time to like take so long of a break, but I was like, you know, I was working. This was when I was like, I'm currently taking the semester off from university classes, but like at the time I was doing university classes. I was working full time, streaming full time. I have my dog, my friends, my relationship. It was just like all this stuff, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I feel like I'm gonna break. Like I feel like I'm like right at the edge, and I'm just gonna crack. And so I took time off, and honestly, it was like probably one of the best decisions I ever made. And lo and behold, I came back and no one forgot me, so that was nice.
But that's when we went to the Eurasia the Square Enix cafe, right?
Yeah.
It was, year, right? Okay,
yeah, we had talked about that. That was the closest I've ever been to being like, I can't do this anymore. But like I said, it wasn't I can't do this anymore. It was, I can't do this anymore if I don't listen to my body and my mental health and what my brain is telling me and take a break. Like I was definitely not at the point where I wanted to quit entirely. I just really needed to take a break.
And it wasn't even like burnout because of just doing the same thing over and over and over.
No, it wasn't streamer burnout. It was life burnout.
Yeah. Did you ever have that? Did you ever have a streamer burnout moment where you're like, I just need to change a pace from the stuff that I'm doing? And that was like just purely the reasoning why you wanted to take a break?
I had a pretty rough time. This was before I met you guys, but like Ken and Sophie know this for sure. Like during my partner push, like that was like a major burnout for me. Like I was like not getting any sleep, and I was like pushing streams constantly. Like I was streaming almost every day, and I wasn't a university student at this time, so like luckily I didn't have that. But I was still, busy. I had other responsibilities, and like I was streaming every day. I was streaming until like 4 a.m, even though I had work the next day. And I was doing Danganronpa at the time, which I love. Don't get me wrong, that series is freaking amazing. But the nature of visual novels is kind of like, it's a lot of reading, it's a lot of voice acting. It can have slow moments, and then there's also like a bit of stress of like people like spoiling things and like other things. And then on top of all this, it took me 8 weeks to hear back about partnership. Most people yeah, like most people when they apply for partnership, it takes what, 3 weeks at most. It took me 8 weeks, and that was the worst 8 weeks of my life. It was terrible.
Was that the first time you applied for partner?
It was the first time that I seriously applied. Like, I actually had applied to partnership once, like 6 months after I started streaming, because at that time there was no set criteria. Okay. So like I was talking to my community, and I was like, I don't even really know what partnership is. Like, I don't know what the criteria are. Like, I should just apply and see what happens. So I applied, and they were like, yeah, like these are the criteria. But at that time, like I said, it wasn't viewable to anyone else. I didn't know until they told me. And then I was like, oh, okay. But at that was the only other time I applied, and it wasn't serious. So like the first time I seriously applied, I got it, but it took 8 weeks.
Yeah,
that must have been so like stressful, having to wait for that, like for the
I used to cry, like seriously, during those 8 weeks, especially towards like the second half. Like, you can ask my moderators, like my Twitch mods, like they are the GOAT, seriously, because literally as soon as I clicked like go offline, like as soon as I turned off the stream, I immediately would go into my mod chat and be like, oh my god, like my numbers, like, you know, it dipped at this time, it was slow at this time, and like, you know, I still haven't heard back. And like I was like literally, like I would cry like by myself in my room,
right?
Because I was so stressed. And I would talk to Ken and Sophie about it too, and like it was just really terrible. And then as soon as I made my partnership, I had just finished the Danganronpa series. Like, I finished Danganronpa before I heard back. And that was scary too, because I was hoping that I would get partnership before the marathon was over. Because I was like, what if I don't hear back, and then the Danganronpa marathon ends, and then whatever game I play next doesn't do as well?
Right.
So like, after that, I started playing another visual novel game, the 999 series.
Yeah.
And I started playing the first game of that, and that game wasn't doing as well as Danganronpa. So like my numbers were starting to drop at that point, and I was like, oh my god. So as soon as I did hear back about partnership, I was like, sorry guys, like I can't continue 999. I need to do something that's not visual novels. Like, I have to just be selfish and play whatever I want to play. And then I ended up playing like random crap that like pushed so many people away. And I was like, you know what? I do kind of regret that I did that, but at the same time, like my mental health, I was like, I need to do something that is selfish for once. Like, I need to just like do something for me.
That's really important, I think, to kind of balance that out and then do what you want to, and then also, you know, things that people that watch you enjoy too. But that push is it definitely sounds super stressful.
So what did you do during those 8 weeks to like keep your motivation up? Because it must have been very stressful. It must have been like, I mean, if it were me, I would have been really stressed, and there were probably times where I would have maybe not wanted to stream, or maybe
there were times where I didn't want to stream, or times that I was sick, or times that I was just too tired to do it. But I like, the thing about stress is that it's often coupled with fear and anxiety, and I also I'm very, very high strung, and I do have a lot of like anxiety issues. I'm not gonna say like it's anything serious, but I'm a very anxious person. So like, even though I was really stressed, in the back of my mind, I just kept telling myself, or like this voice in my head kept telling myself, if you don't stream at every possible moment, you will never get another chance to do partnership. Like, because like I felt like I lucked into getting those partner numbers, and like I just kept telling, like, this voice in my head, like my self-doubt, or like, you know, I kind of struggle with self-worth and stuff. It just kept telling me that like, you got lucky this one time. If you don't push your body to its limit and just stream and just do it, then you might fail, but if you don't at least try, you'll never get this chance again. So you might as well, you got to take it while it's there. And that fear of failure pushed me to keep going, which is maybe it paid off. I don't know.
it's I mean, anything that keeps you going at that point. Like,
it sounds like it paid off.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you a competitive person? You don't come off as a competitive person when it comes to stuff like this. Like, did you ever have a moment where maybe somebody else is getting, like, you guys are doing the push at the same time, and then they're kind of like doing better than you, and it was like frustrating to you? Did you ever have that?
Not really. There were a couple people that were doing partner push at the same time as me. Like someone I'm really good friends with, Chocolate Kieran. He's like a Pokemon content creator. Him and I started our push, and I think he also went for like 8 weeks. Like it was like him and me, same time. And like I would always see his numbers and stuff like that, and like there were times that he was doing better than me, but I never really. I think it's like once you're on the partner push, you don't really care about other people's numbers because that's not going to affect your push. The only thing you care about is your numbers, because like when your numbers start dropping, like that's going to affect you. It only affects you, right? So it's like if other people have high numbers or low numbers, like, and this goes for outside of partner push too. Like if you're a content creator on Twitch, it's very easy to get absorbed in numbers. And it's not healthy to get absorbed in your own numbers either, but it's better to get absorbed in your own numbers than someone else's, because at least your own numbers matter.
That's true. I think it's always just kind of, because you always have the good days and bad days, right? And it's almost like you can't really tell when it's a good day. Like you'll have like a tendency, like this is good, these days are not so good kind of thing. But sometimes it spikes, sometimes it doesn't, and it's that that randomness, that sense of randomness that really just throws you off.
Because it's never really consistent and it's never really stable, and so yeah, it can be very like anxiety inducing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I mean, honestly, like, one of our Isekai team members, Shleb, like she's on the partner push now.
Absolutely, yeah.
And like I can like I feel for her because I can already see her getting stressed out about it.
It's eating her alive, man.
Yeah. And like I totally feel for her. Like I totally feel for her, because she, it's been this is the second week, so it hasn't been too long, but even waiting like 3 days is so painful because you just want it so bad.
Yeah. And it shows too, and it's I think you try to hide it, but you can't. But I mean, I think everybody, especially your community, sympathizes with that, and because they want it as much as you do too. Like they're there supporting you and stuff. So it's, you can tell, and it's she's trying not to talk about it too much, but it's just normal. It's just a normal human.
Yeah.
It's and I really, really hope she does get partnered because she deserves it.
Same, yeah. I really hope she hears back soon. I mean, they say 2 weeks, but obviously it wasn't 2 weeks for me.
Yeah, it might be longer, yeah. Especially it depends on how many people are applying at that time and how busy they are too, right? So
yeah, like honestly, I think the reason why it took so long for me is because I applied during, like, before and during TwitchCon. So I think like they probably were like super understaffed, right? Because they were prepping for TwitchCon. TwitchCon was happening. Like I think I heard back from them like the week after TwitchCon, which makes sense.
Yeah, it's like, because we're all people, so we all have schedules and stuff and whatnot, so it's hard. If you had unlimited resources, money or whatever, is there something that you would want to do on stream where you didn't have to think about any consequences regarding resources or money? Is there something that you would want to do?
Not, I mean, like I just like to play games, so like there's really nothing like fancy or expensive that I want to do that I couldn't do right now, I think the only thing I would want to do if I had limitless resources is like get bomb ass internet that never like messes up, you know?
Yes.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be great.
That's about it, I think. I think I would just get that. And then also, okay, maybe this is it. It's not really connected to content creation, but like if I had limitless resources, I would get a better apartment with like a room that I could dedicate to like streaming, and then like make my background like super hashtag aesthetic. Like that's my dream.
There you go. Yeah, that would be so sick.
That would be so, like, getting a room just for streaming would be so nice.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, in Japan, since all the apartments are tiny, right? Just getting just a little tiny space just for streaming would be great. And then you can have a great, like, a good background and have a really nice, like, it's like a studio just for your streams. That'd be really nice.
I'm gonna ask.
And also, it's like when you leave stream, you actually feel like you're getting a break from it, right?
Yeah.
It's like my bed is right there, like right off camera. My apartment is one room, so it's like when I'm done with streaming, I just go like do bed.
Yeah. It's easy to be that hikikomori life.
Yeah, for real.
Because ours is like 2 steps to the bed too. Like what ours is, we have like one partition and that's it. We don't actually have like doors to other rooms. So yeah, it's definitely like it's the same thing. So this is a hard question. Okay, I'm gonna make it harder. We had a question. But
I like hard questions.
Which video game world would you live in that's not Animal Crossing?
Damn it! I was gonna say Animal Crossing. How did you know I was gonna say Animal Crossing?
That's not Animal Crossing.
I was gonna say Animal Crossing because then I could just pay off all my debts by fishing and bug catching and never have to work. Probably Pokemon, I think.
Pokemon?
Yeah.
Because I would just love to like, I would be a Pokemon. I would either be a member of the Pokemon fan club or I'd be like a Pokemon breeder or something.
I see. It's like the battles just kind of seem like because the Pokemon never die too, right? Like they just faint and then you can revive them, right? And it's like,
and then it's just like you can just get all these pets that are like super useful and like have skills that are super useful. That would be amazing.
Yeah, like I think it's like Pokemon is definitely, especially like Sword and Shield world is so cool because like you have the wild area.
Galar would be a cool region. Or like maybe I like Johto region. Maybe Johto would be good.
Did you do you watch anime I don't know if we've ever talked about anime.
I used to watch a lot of anime when I was in high school. But I rarely have time for it these days, but I am currently watching Beastars.
Ooh, I heard that's
that
good.
one's really good.
I heard that's
I'm on episode 4 and it's really good so far. It's on Netflix, so I have Netflix, so
yeah.
I would probably, honestly, I would watch more anime if I was allowed to use American Netflix, but like in Japan, I can only use Japanese Netflix, and there's so much anime on it, but there's no subtitles. So it's like I can watch all this anime, but like I'm afraid that I won't like understand everything. So it's kind of like a deterrent for me. But Beastars is a Netflix original technically, so any anime that's a Netflix original, you can actually put English subtitles on it. So like Beastars, I'm watching now because I can actually put English subtitles on it.
We started watching Haikyuu?
Haikyuu
recently. Have you seen Haikyuu?
I've never seen Haikyuu, but some of my best like anime convention friends in New York City are obsessed with Haikyuu.
It's pretty crazy, dude. It's insane. It's super fun. And Beastars, I think, Sophie and Luke were telling us how good it was when we hung out with them.
Yeah, because I think I heard about it from Joey, because Joey had mentioned it on Twitter.
Oh, really?
Saying it was really good, and I was like, if Joey says it's good, then it's probably good.
Luke was like, that show made me want to get a tail, and Sophie just like glared at us.
What?
Yeah,
I really do want to watch that one.
Yeah. So wait, you're going to be you're gonna be streaming after this, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be streaming after this.
What are you gonna be streaming today, Toph?
My plan was to stream some shiny hunting, but I'm on the fence of whether I should do shiny hunting in Pokemon Sword and Shield or if I should play Animal Crossing.
The two worlds you want to go to.
I know.
Oh yeah. So wait. Yesterday, we went to the Nintendo store for the first time, and I saw the Animal Crossing goods, and they're so cute.
Very.
Look what I bought yesterday. Did you see it on Twitter?
Yeah, I did.
I got it.
I saw that. Yeah, it's so cute.
She's gonna sound
so cute.
Yeah, I was looking at all the Animal Crossing stuff, and it's so cute. Like they did such a good job with all the designs.
And it's all like
minimal.
useful stuff.
Yeah. Like little cups.
Oh yeah, wait, you guys went yesterday too? Like me and Sophie were there yesterday.
What?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, we were there.
Yeah, we were there too. Me and Sophie were there with Luke and Tierney, one of Sophie's friends.
Oh.
Because
really?
we went to the Pokemon Cafe, and then around like 6 or 7 p.m. we went to the Nintendo store.
Ah, I see. Yeah, like for us we streamed there and it was like noon or something like that.
Oh, okay, you were there like way before us.
Yeah, so it was like our first time there, so yeah, it was really hype.
Yeah, there was no line.
Yeah, there wasn't. Like to go on a weekday.
It
was
they just
fantastic.
had the
Finally.
whole thing open, so we finally got to go in, and it was really cool. So
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, and I didn't know like there's like a very extensive Animal Crossing section there.
yeah.
Yeah,
really
I bought most of that. I own
not
like most
surprised.
of that stuff.
And the Animal Crossing Switch was really cute too. I like that teal color.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm gonna pre-order. The pre-orders go up on Saturday, so I'm
Oh,
gonna
really?
be pre-ordering it.
We gotta get it too.
It looks really nice.
I know.
I think Schleb put up that it was like a combination with that and like a Bernie Sanders meme. It's like I have no money.
Oh yeah. I did see that.
Yeah, so it's really good. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this. Like,
Yeah, thank you so
this
much.
is
No, it was fun. Thank you for having me.
first episode, but we actually have other people already kind of that we've asked and they're down to do it.
Oh, I'm excited to see
Yeah.
who's next.
Yeah, and we'll definitely announce that. But we'll keep going on with the stream until 10 p.m. when we normally go. We'll let Toph go get ready for the stream and everything, and then
Thank you.
yeah, and then once Toph starts streaming, we'll end on a raid. So we'll see how it goes because
We've got some weird things
yeah, we got
in
some
chat
stuff
right
going
now.
on. But
So
hey,
yeah.
I hope everybody watching enjoyed Toph because Toph is awesome and
Thank you
yeah.
for watching, guys.
Thanks for joining us though.
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you so much, Toph. Arigato. And we'll see you
Arigato.
soon, alright?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see you later.
Bye bye, Toph.
Bye.
Arigato.